When did you first begin to discern a call to religious life and then to the Sisters of Life?
Yeah, well, interestingly, I grew up in a family that was Catholic but not super practicing when I was young. And then when I was maybe in about 4th or 5th grade, my family came back to the regular practice of the sacrament and Sunday Mass, and I was able to make my first communion, and was involved in high school through youth group, got involved in my faith, starting in a deeper way. But I always remember, like in high school for me, really academics were kind of my first place that I found my identity and spent most of my time and attention. And I remember in my diocese, we made our confirmation in 11th grade. And the day of my confirmation teacher came up to me and said, you know, have you ever thought about a religious vocation? I think you would make God might be calling you to something like that. And I was so annoyed at him because I said, he's only saying that because I pay attention in class.
Is that one of the requirements?
I don't know.
To pay attention in class.
He saw something, obviously, that I was not seeing.
Yeah.
And it kind of tucked in the back of my head. You know, I put it way back on the back burner because I grew up in an area, I grew up in New Mexico, and it was in a town, I never really interacted with sisters. So it was so foreign of an idea to me, but there was something, again, by God's grace, that was a little bit of attractive, even though my outward, demeanor was like, who are you to tell me something like that? I ended up going to a small liberal arts college, secular liberal arts college that, by God's grace, had the focus on campus for a couple of years that I was there, the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. And so more and more as I went through my college years, got involved in my faith and really started to learn about my faith on a deeper level. Having gone to public schools, obviously that wasn't part of the curriculum, and in the public schools. So I was really nourished through focus in Bible studies, and at that time encountering theology of the body, John Paul II's theology of the body for the first time, and finding in our faith such beautiful answers for so many questions I had, and my faith turned it into this. From being, all this list of rules and things you do and you don't do, to be a deeper understanding that God has this beautiful plan for my life, and like the gift that He's given me as a woman, and the beauty of what a call to marriage and to be a mother would be, and starting to see the beauty of what a call to religious life would be. And so more and more as I found myself in prayer in front of the Blessed Sacrament in those times, I just started to feel this draw of my heart towards Jesus. I wanted to be with Him. I felt His love for me, and there was something in kind of the depth of my heart that knew that that's what a religious vocation was, that it was like this answer of love, of knowing myself to be loved, but then wanting to make a response and a gift of my life in love to God. And I was terrified of that at first because, again, I didn't have a lot of examples of it. And I ended up, after graduating, working for Focus for a couple of years as a missionary on campus and continuing to just grow in my faith, spending time in prayer, getting to know religious communities at that time. And from some interactions that I had with the Sisters of Life fairly early on in college, and then through my involvement of Focus, just always felt very drawn to them, to their joy, and to the real authenticity that I saw in the sisters. Yes. And I remember the first time I met them, it went from being something like you read Story of a Soul and about St. Therese, or you read St. Faustina, or you watch The Sound of Music, and like being a sister is something like way out there, and seeing young sisters that were not that much older than me and who were so authentically and beautifully themselves and so alive in their love for God, it was like, oh my gosh, God really could call me to something like that. But I continue to kind of wrestle, and I grew up in a family that a lot of my relatives, my parents, some of my siblings are scientists, and I was studying chemistry in college, and so like I kind of wanted this intellectual certainty, like I want to know, I wanted to do what God was calling me to do. I wanted to know what His will was. I wanted to follow Him in love. But like I had this idea, like I had to have this like intellectual certainty that I was doing the right thing. And I really tied myself up in a lot of knots with that. And I had a beautiful, profound grace visiting our sisters. I was making a discernment retreat And I was praying in front of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament and kind of tying myself up in these knots, like, God, I want to follow you, but I feel so uncertain. Like, what do you want? What do you want from me? And on that visit, the vocations director had proposed a question to me. She said to me, what do you want? And,
how beautiful.
and I realized sitting in front of Jesus, like, I want to be free to choose you in love, and you're not forcing me. And it was like in that moment, I saw the gift of my freedom, like that God had given me a beautiful gift in my free will to choose to follow him in love, and that there wasn't anything like kind of more beautiful than that. And how often I was also struck at the same moment that when I have a misguided view of my freedom, I can be so led astray, and how many people thinking they're making a choice in freedom and like, I just want to be free to do what I want to do, leads to so much hurt. And I saw our charism being such a beautiful answer to that pain that so many people experience, being, misled. And it was like at that moment, I felt like maybe an analogy was like as if I was walking in the dark, because I don't know. It's like I don't know where God is leading me. But instead of having to have this certainty of where the path was leading, that I knew I was holding the hand of someone who loved me and who I could trust. And so I could walk in the dark with a confidence, because it's that confidence of love.
That is so beautiful. I'm struck by so much of what you say there. And Sister Maria Cattery, I think, much of what comes forth from Sister Benedicta there is so true about any vocational call. The Lord does not coerce us into doing his will, right? I mean, love is a free will decision. You choose to love someone, and he wants us to choose to love him. But he always, doesn't it seem, that he always leaves just enough uncertainty that we can exercise faith, right? And that we can exercise trust, right?
Oh my gosh.
I remember Mother Angelica saying, what is faith? It's like having one foot in the air and the other foot on a banana peel.
That's a good, wow, that's good.
It's pretty good that
so
way,
true.
right? But then once we make the decision, oh my goodness, it's just like the heavens open up and we're imbued with the divine life. We have that peace that surpasses understanding.
Amen.